What's up, everybody? Nick O'Dwyer back with you for another episode of the 10th inning with another edition of This Day in History. Now, this day in history, May 13th, we have a lot to go through because when I was looking stuff up, there were so many different interesting things that happened on this day in history. I just have to get through them all, and I will be doing these videos every single day, even when sports return, because I'm having so much fun doing this series because it's just really interesting. Hopefully not just only to me, but to everyone, finding out stuff that you probably didn't know, maybe you didn't want to know, maybe you didn't know that you wanted to know. I don't know. But if you enjoy this content, leave a like down on the video and subscribe to the channel. But as I already said, we have a lot to get into today, so let's get into it. In 1905, we have a boxer who some, I'm not really sure who, but some still regard him as the best heavyweight champion of all time, in James J. Jeffries. And on this day, Jeffries officially retired as the boxing champion, as the undefeated boxing champion. Now, would he stay undefeated? No, he would not stay undefeated throughout the remainder of his career, but he was pretty serious about the retirement part. What drew him out of retirement was in 1910, they offered him a then record $101,000 purse to come and fight then champion Jack Johnson. Now, if you know anything about Jack Johnson, that you know that he was an African American. Now, Jeffries didn't really believe that African Americans should be the heavyweight champions, should be champions in general. Now, supposedly, before Jeffries became champion, he had no problem fighting African Americans. But once he became champion, he didn't want to fight African Americans because he didn't want the majority white crowd to be offended in any way, which, I mean, yes, that's what the time was. Was it right? Of course not. So, I don't necessarily believe that's what Jeffries was doing. Either way, in 1905, he retired at 19-0-2 with 16 knockouts. The Boilermaker, as he was known, ran through all the competition. I'll say, ran through all the Caucasian competition while he was heavyweight champion. So, in 1910, he got a $101,000 purse to come and fight then champion Jack Johnson. And it wasn't even a fight. Now, this is a quote from Jeffries. "I refused time and again to meet Johnson while I was holding the title, even though I knew I could beat him. I would never allow a Negro a chance to fight for the world's championship, and I advise all other champions to follow the same course." Now, that was when Johnson became the title holder. That is what he said after. Now, after he fought Johnson, this is what he had to say. "I never could have whipped Johnson at my best," Jeffries said in the immediate aftermath of the fight. "I could not have reached him in 1,000 years. So, I guess maybe his perspective changed, or maybe he just got so beat up that, hey, he had to say that. I don't know. Moving on, in 1909, we have the first Giro d'Italia taking place in Milan, and the first champion of this cycling tour was Italian cyclist Luigi Ganna. He was the first winner of the Giro d'Italia in 1909. Moving up to 1927, VVOG soccer team forms in Heidelberg. Then going to 1942, we have a pitcher, Jim Tobin. But this isn't for what he did on the mound. No, Jim Tobin belted 3 home runs in the game while he was pitching. The team won 6-5. Tobin had 3 home runs, 4 RBIs in 4 plate appearances, while pitching 9 innings, giving up 5 hits and 5 runs. He got the win, and talking about helping yourself out as a pitcher, you got 4 RBIs by yourself. You can't do much more than that. In 1950, we have the first ever race of the Formula One World Drivers' Championship in Silverstone, England, and it was won by Giuseppe Farina of Italy in Alfa Romeo. This would be Farina's big accomplishment in the world of Formula One. He was the Italian champion a couple of times before this, but this was the first world championship, and he showed what he was all about. Then in 1952, we have a record that, has a possibility to be broken, but no, will never be broken. In 1952, the minor league pitcher for Bristol, Ron Nakai, strikes out 27 batters in a game. So he just struck out everyone, right? Well, no. Actually, in the first inning, someone grounded out, but then it was made up in the third inning where the catcher let a drop ball third strike get past him, the runner got on. So he actually struck out 4 batters that inning. He didn't have a perfect game or anything like that, but 27 strikeouts, a record that will never be broken. He actually never made it to the major leagues because he had such arm problems. From looking it up, he had control problems too, so maybe he never would have made it. I don't know. But it's a shame that we never saw someone with this kind of strikeout stuff make it to the major leagues. It's like Sid Finch. We know that Sid Finch wasn't real, but this was kind of a Sid Finch before Sid Finch, but we never got to see it. 27 strikeouts though, a record that will never be broken. It doesn't matter that it was Class D minor league ball. 27 strikeouts is 27 strikeouts. In 1958, and this is what the article was on today. I will leave a link down in the description for the article if you all want to read it. In 1958, Stan the Man Musial becomes the 8th player in MLB history to accumulate 3,000 hits in his career. Musial did this in the 6th inning against the Chicago Cubs in Chicago. Originally, Musial wasn't going to play this game because the manager wanted him to get it in front of his home crowd in St. Louis. But they were losing 3-1 in the 6th inning. There was a leadoff double, the next man got out, and the pitcher was up. The manager put Musial in for the pitcher. Musial hits a double off the left field wall, sparking a 4-run rally that inning. The Cardinals won 5-3. But the important part of that game was Stan Musial gets his 3,000th hit. In 1962, LPGA Western Open Women's Golf. In the Montgomery Country Club, Mickey Wright wins on the 4th hole of a sudden death playoff with Mary Lena Falk. Then in 1973, we know the Battle of the Sexes happened in 1973. Well, in 1973, before that happened, on Mother's Day, Bobby Riggs defeated Margaret Smith Court in a Mother's Day match in California. This happened before the Billie Jean King, but this was really the match that led up to the Billie Jean King match. Because Riggs not only beat her, he kind of destroyed her. He won in 2 sets, 6-2 and 6-1. So that ended up leading to the Billie Jean matchup, which we all know really kind of changed the way we look at women's sports. But this was the match that led up to that. In the 1976 ABA Finals, this was the last championship in the ABA. We had the New Jersey Nets going up against the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets, they didn't have Artis Gilmore anymore, but they still had Dan Issel. They now had David Thompson and Ralph Sampson. They were a loaded team. But the New Jersey Nets ended up winning the series, winning the championship 4-2, thanks to the likes of future Hall of Famer Julius Erving. Julius Erving, he was the MVP of that series. He averaged a little 37.7 points per game and 14.2 rebounds per game. Not that much, not too much work for him. He also had John Williamson on the team. Williamson averaged 20 points in that finals, but Julius Erving was the main reason the Nets won the final ABA championship. In 1981, Dynamo Tbilisi wins the 21st European Cup Winners' Cup against Carl Zeiss Jena of East Germany 2-1 in Dusseldorf. Then in 1982, the Chicago Cubs win their 8,000th game in their franchise history against the Astros. Going to 1987, Ajax of Netherlands wins the 27th European Cup Winners' Cup against Lokomotiv Leipzig of East Germany 1-0 in Athens. In 1993, another baseball milestone, Kansas City Royals star George Brett knocks his 300th career home run, becoming only the 6th member of the 3,000 hit club and the 300 home run club. In 1995, Team New Zealand beats Team Dennis Conner 5-0 to win America's Cup for the first time, sweeping all 5 races and taking the cup from the United States for only the 2nd time in 144 years. In 2007, Phil Mickelson won the PGA Players Championship 2 strokes ahead of Sergio Garcia, the first time the event was played in May. In 2012, Manchester City won the English Premier League for the first time. In 2018, Manchester City ended the EPL season with a 1-0 victory, smashing 11 Premier League records, including the most points at 100 and the widest margin of points at 19. Then finally, in 2019, American diver Victor Vescovo makes the deepest dive into the Mariana Trench at 10,927 meters, or 35,849 feet. And what does he find? Well, he finds a plastic bag. What else would he find? So there you have it. That's what happened in this day in sports history. Let me know down in the comment section what you all thought was the most interesting thing on this day in sports history. Till next time, Nick O'Dwyer and the 10th inning. See ya.